Consider myself a conscious hustler. Like that's what I call myself. Like I will work and I will.
Thank you for tuning in to the next episode of Legend Speaks. Hey, Miss Miranda. So, could you tell us a little bit more about your business? Give us a little hot summary of the Miss Miranda.
My name is Miranda Werkheiser. I own a company called Surrender and Slay LLC. I am the CEO, the founder, the sole service provider. So I am stretched. I offer photography, intuitive coaching, business coaching. I'm an event coordinator, project manager, speaker, writer, all kinds of things. I'm also a mom of two. I have an 18-year-old daughter who is in college. She's off traveling the country right now, and a 13-year-old son who is home with me because he's homeschooled. Well, not homeschooled, but he's at homeschooling. So, and I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I'm really just super excited to be here.
So, before COVID happened a lot for the world, did you travel a lot for your business?
I didn't travel a lot, but what I would do is I had the option to do that. I had the option to say, hey, you need a photographer? Cool. Here's the prices to book me. And, I would be able to drive. I mean, I was driving to 3 to 4 hours out. So I was able to do that. One of the things that I missed prior to COVID though, is having face-to-face meetings. So I'm big on collaboration. So I am even meeting with other business owners to be able to collaborate with them. I can't go to a coffee shop anymore and be like, hey, meet me at this coffee shop at 9 a.m. and we'll have a meeting. Or for people who want to do intuitive coaching, it's not like I can say, hey, you know what? I would love to meet you in person. Most of this can be done remotely, but I would like to meet you in person. Same thing with, my clients for photography. I like to see them. I like to see them and get a feel for their energy and their vibe. And that was always done in person, or at least having the option to do it. So I'm grateful that my business is set up to be almost all remote, other than the photography is in person. But I miss having the option to meet people out and about, and to even be able to leave and work, at a restaurant or a coffee shop or anything like that.
So do you think that the adjustment now is a positive thing for you?
I'm a people person. I love people. I'm an extrovert and an introvert. So when I'm around a lot of people, I do have to come home and hang up on myself, which is a grateful thing. I'm grateful for the fact that I can just come home and or I have to stay home and do work. But I mean, it's yes and no. I mean, I am grateful that I even still have a business through COVID, because it was set up initially where my whole idea of working from home is so I could travel and still work. So now I really necessarily can't do the traveling part, but I can still work. But I also it mentally for me, and feeding that part of me that loves to just be in the space with other people in person. I very much miss that, but I do get that with some of the projects I'm working on, where we have to obviously take our temperatures, and everybody has to make sure that they're tested and they're cleared before we go. And even with photography, it's we have to have that communication when we're meeting up, because I'm not always 6 feet away from the person I'm shooting. So we have to have that conversation of have you been around? What's your temperature? How are you feeling? So I get that somewhat, but I do miss people. I miss people dreadfully, in person.
So on a personal level, how have things been for you? Being that you're an outgoing person, because
so I mean, on a personal level, yeah, but we're finding ways to get around it. We're finding ways. I work one night a week. My friend owns a local business, and it's a restaurant, and restaurants are hit hard. They're suffering right now. And where I live, it's a small business. She's a single mom. She works her ass off. And so I'm even grateful that I can even go in and support her, and that she can even afford to pay somebody. So I'm working there one night a week, which is beautiful because it does allow me to be around people. I was a bartender forever. It's always one of those things, because I love people. So I'm yes, put me on for Tuesday nights. Let me.
Bartenders are the freaking therapists of the nightclub, or the underscene.
Which is funny, because I really am I am a life coach. And so people are, but I do have to draw boundaries energetically, because I could coach people all day, but I'm yo, you can hit me up, and that's a service of mine. So
Cool. So tell me a little bit more about your friend's business. Like, does she have online or delivery set up?
Yep. So there's she used to be on 3 of the food delivery services, and because those cost money, she's gone down to 1. But like they reformulated things. Like now they're offering take and bakes for people who don't want to come in. So they make all of them homemade. It's all homemade, gluten-free, yummy food with like vegan options and meat options, and it's an incredible business. But it's only in year 2. So like for COVID to even happen, yeah. So for COVID to even happen like this early on, I mean, she's in her mid-20s, bought a like 200-year-old building and renovated the whole inside of it and it's just crazy. So
Like, where's she located? Like, what's the name?
it is on Broadway Street in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And even a gift card helps. Like through my business, what I do, like my whole goal is to put other people on. So like, so we're actually I'm the project manager of a music video for a local musician, and we're having the launch party at her business, because the more businesses and the more, small businesses that I can get involved, like all of us just like coming together in collaboration and supporting one another. I feel like that's not just what this community needs. I feel like that's what we need personally, because we're still able to give back, but we're also still being able to fulfill what we need to do for our business. But I feel like that's what the world needs. Like we all just need to like, I know there's a competitive factor in business. I fully understand that. I am a very competitive person. Ask my family during game night. Yo, I'm not going to give you grace. I don't let my kids win shit. Like, it's like, nah, you're going to learn to tough it out. One day you'll beat me. I'm like, no, try harder next time. Or like, let's talk about what didn't go right and we can work on what skills you need to work on. My son, I used to bring him to the track and we used to run the 100-meter dash, and he lost every time and he would like give up. And I was like, cool, now you can run it again.
So you're a bit of a supporter for small businesses, right?
For me, like just to bring it back, it's all about community-based and putting every single person on, because as much as there's competition in business, this is a very small community. Green Bay is very, very small.
You know what? Honestly, I never thought of Green Bay being like that small. I mean, I'm a Packers fan because like I think it was like in the 90s I saw a Super Bowl and the Packers scored like a touchdown twice off the kickoff in that game, and I was like, man, I gotta root for the Packers. And then I gotta show love for the Bengals because I'm from Ohio, so go Bengals.
Okay.
Girl, look, I'm the one that go for the underdog too. So I'm the one to walk in the bar and be like, everybody going for like one team, and I'm like, go other team, just because.
You know what's funny is that if there's not a Packer game on and I'm watching a team like our game, I will always go for the most part, I will go for the underdog. My son is a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I don't know how it happened. He's always been different, and I love him for that. I love him that he's so different that way. He was gaming the other night and he goes, Mom, I'm not a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I'm like, they have more? He's like, we did, but it was great because he really like last year or the year before, they actually had a really great season. And it was so funny. I was like, he is that kid that roots for the underdog. Like the Jaguars were the worst team this year. And he goes, Mom, we get the first round pick next year. And I was like, you know what, boo? I just love and appreciate that about him, where he's like, let me take the underdog. We're going to find something positive, and I'm rooting for him still next year. No bandwagon fan since he was little. Like 2 years ago, he's like, I've been waiting my whole life for them to be good. I'm like, you legit have.
So, tell me more about your business, the name, the origins, anything you want to put out there. Tell us.
The name Surrender and Slay came because that was my life motto. So surrendering, really all it means is just to like give it all up to God, spirit, universe, whatever resonates with you, right? So the things that you're scared of, the things that you want, everything. It's like all the good, all the scary shit that's coming through you that you're thinking of, all your goals, like just to like give it up and trust that you're heard. That's the surrender part of it. That's more of like the feminine energy. And then the slay putt is that masculine energy where it's like, now you gotta get your ass to work. Like now, whether it is, and I'm saying like, I know that my work ethic is crazy, but I tell people all the time, it literally could be setting your alarm clock 5 minutes earlier so you get a little head start on the day. Like the slay part is putting in any step that's going to get you closer to what you want. So that's really where the name came from, Surrender and Slay. And I live by that every day. It's a great reminder for myself. Every time I see my screen pop up, every time I see an email come through to Miranda at Surrender and Slay, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how I'm living. That's what I'm doing. And the term Renaissance woman, I never really knew what it meant, but I did a little research, and it really just means that like you like multiple things. So people are like, they're like, you have to pick a niche. And I'm like, nah, like, here's the thing. My niche is creative collaboration. So if that's my niche, then I can express that in multiple different ways.
I understand completely. So you're a bit of a supporter for small businesses, right?
Coaching. I love sitting down with somebody. Some of my gifts, because I'm also a Reiki practitioner, right? So my gifts, I mean, I get messages channeled through. I know things that I don't even know how I know. So people tell me all the time, they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it just comes through me. So it is a gift of mine. So I do intuitive coaching. I am a Reiki practitioner. I'm also a project manager. So I'm very left and right sided, like my brain. I really can work with both. Like they're even. So the project manager side of me and event coordinator side of me is like detail oriented. Like we have a system, we have a process. Anybody that's worked with me knows like you don't show up late when Miranda's in charge. You just don't. I always tell people the first time I meet with them, I was like, here's how I roll. First of all, you're going to go watch Coach Carter, and you're going to wait till this moment in the movie where he says practice starts at 3:00 as of 2:55. You're late. That's how I roll. That is how I roll.
On time, that means you're late. Right. I get that.
So, and here's like, I did a lot of research on this. And then also like, to me, it came naturally. Like, of course you're going to show up early because you're running around and you're off in some other place. And if you show up right when everything's starting, like you don't even have the time to like shift to actually being present where you are, you know? So that's the project manager, event coordinator side. I do that for other people, but also I create events as well. So I'm an event coordinator for other people. And then
it sounds like you're really good with time management. So I guess, do you think that you developed those time management skills from being a mom, like parenting, you know, running your household, running the business, spending time with the kids?
I guess I feel like I would have to say yes, because I had my daughter a week before I graduated high school. So I've never really had I never like went to college and had like the freedom to just do whatever I wanted on the weekends. I've always been responsible for somebody else. Like I'm 37, so almost half of my life has been spent providing for somebody else. And I wasn't always great at it. And now that things are starting to pick up in my business, I'm still having to relearn like making sure that I have some strict boundaries in place. You know, like it's a really big deal for me as boundaries, because I'm big on self-love and self-care. I fill my cup in the morning before I even talk to anybody else. Like I will not pick up my phone unless it's to turn on meditation music. But I learned I used to give so much to other people, and while I was working for other people, that I was on empty. I don't even know where the hell I gave from. I was like, oh, I have backup reserves, but like, I don't know where it came from.
So how long ago did you start Surrender and Slay?
July 2019.
At startup, did you like immediately put yourself into
No, I mean, my all is like, I didn't have the money to just not work for somebody else. So the first thing that Surrender and Slay did is my company ran VIP for the first like and only club. Wasn't the first club, but like the only club in Green Bay, which was definitely out of my comfort zone because I really didn't want to be in that scene. But I was like, oh, this is a really great opportunity to meet people, to get my name out there. And I knew a lot of people that worked at the club, and I knew the club manager, and it was whatever. But I also was making cash tips as well, you know? So I would like bartend here and there. I Instacarted for a while to make some extra money. But yes, like my energy has been poured into all of the aspects. I tell people all the time, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's really difficult, and it requires you to level up because there's going to be shit that comes forward, right? I had a business partner for a while. He was the original photographer for Surrender and Slay. She's the first one to put a camera in my hand. And I had to make a choice at the beginning of quarantine where I was like, do I just not do Surrender and Slay?
So do you remember how you felt felt in that moment, like in that moment when you was like, this is it, this is what I want to do?
The moment that I found that niche of like, no, I really just creative collaboration and I stay in alignment with that, it allows me to pick projects that feel good and to work with people that feel good and to make business decisions that feel good. Because for me, if it doesn't feel good, I'm not doing it.
All right, girl, thank you for your time. So, do you, my bad. Do you have any final words from Surrender and Slay from yourself? Like any final words you want to tell to the audience?
Big message. This is it. It just came to me. Inspiration and motivation is great, but discipline is where it's at. Like, we're at home and let's say you're not even utilizing social media in the right way. Like, let's say you're following people who make you feel less than, right? Which is not the way social media is intended to be used. But if you're not disciplined enough to say, you know what, I do have to take time out for myself, or I do have to make that phone call, or I do have to, take time out to really just nourish myself, or, hey, I have to get this marketing plan done. If we don't have the discipline to do the things that we have to do to make things happen, whether it's self-care or it's getting stuff rolling in your career or business, then like nothing's ever going to happen. We're not always going to be motivated. We're not always going to be inspired. We're not always going to feel like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Nah, like it doesn't work that way. And so really like doing the things that maybe you don't want to do in that moment teaches you to be disciplined. And because here's the thing, live surrender and live slay, like to live that, like it's masculine and feminine energy. That's it. And if you need assistance with that, hit me up. So
I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Is there